live stream. This isn't exactly how we had planned to do it. We were going to be live on LinkedIn, right? On LinkedIn, and we had hundreds of people joining us all over the world. But unfortunately, as technology goes, I forgot my password. I know, that's completely ridiculous. But I tried to link, and we were linking things together, different broadcast platforms, and then we had the wrong password, and then we got locked out of LinkedIn. And it's hard. You'd think LinkedIn was in Fort Knox. You have to send in your ID, you have to send in all kinds of things, and it wasn't ready. So we punted, and we're now kind of doing a makeshift broadcast. We're in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. We're in my fiance's apartment, and we're broadcasting live. Yeah. What are we talking about today? We're talking about maximizing the utilization of your time. As many of you know, I've had the opportunity to be involved in a number of different activities. Ran a big hotel casino, helped run a big hotel casino. I've had a company in the United States and Canada for over 20 years. And we've literally worked with thousands upon tens of thousands of people around the world. And the number one thing that stresses people out, time. I just don't have enough time. There's not enough time. I wish I had more time. There's just not enough time to get done everything that you need, want, or hope to get done. And there's certainly not enough time, energy, or effort to accomplish all the things that you're responsible for and all the obligations you have. And in this 24/7 society where we're living in unprecedented times, it's even worse, more than ever before. So, today, over the next hour, what I hope to do is provide some meaningful information and some tangible tools that will assist you in maximizing the utilization of your time. We're going to give you some philosophies, and then we're going to give you some principles, and then we're going to give you some really tangible tools to help you go and live in these unprecedented times. As many of you know, I'm involved in a men's mental health initiative to reduce the suicide rate amongst middle-aged men, because middle-aged men in their 40s, 50s, and 60s are 70% more likely to succumb to suicide than any other segment of the population. How does this relate to that? The inability to take our time and maximize its utilization creates significant stress in our lives, leads to great anxiety, leads to great depression, in my opinion. The uncompleted task, the unfulfilled responsibility, the missing our kids' game, to not spending time with our loved ones, all because we don't have enough time. The weight, the guilt of not connecting with a distant relative or even our parents, if you will, who may be elderly. All of these things contribute to being burden upon us. So what I hope to do today is give you some tools and give you some information, the same that I've given to tens of thousands of people that have utilized this maximizing utilization of time approach to being able to fulfill all the responsibilities and obligations that they have in their lives, and to being able to go and make a significant difference in the lives of others and in their community. So let's start with the simple philosophy. Some principles that I want you to just download into your brain and into your heart and just let them roll around. And they'll be the foundation for our discussion. First, time is a construct of man. Man came up with time. 60 seconds to a minute, 60 minutes to an hour, 24 hours in a day, and 168 hours in a week. Time was constructed by man, which means man can control time and doesn't have to be controlled by time. Secondly, time is a perishable commodity. There's no better way to make that case than a little story. It's a story of the great banker. Imagine you're on a Saturday morning and you hear a knock on your door. A knock on your door. You look outside and what do you see? A limousine. There's a limousine outside your house. And then you see news cameras and all kinds of people bustling around. And then they open the door of the limousine and a guy who looks like he's from Monopoly, the Monopoly big banker, He gets out. He's got a top hat. He's got a spectacle. And all of a sudden they got this big check. They hand it to the banker and he's walking towards your door. And you open up the door. He says, hello, I'm the great banker. I've got something for you. And the great banker says, what do you have? What do you have? You say, well, I don't have much. Well, good, because I'm going to give you $86,000. The great banker says, I'm going to give you $86,000 right now. But there'll be two stipulations to that money. Stipulation number one, I'm going to give that to you at the beginning of the day. Stipulation number two, I'm going to come back at the end of the day, and anything left in the positive balance, I'm going to take away from you. Now, you can spend that money however you want. You can give it to charity. You can spend it on yourself. You can give it to your kids. Go buy a car. You can do whatever the hell you want. Well, will I get some more tomorrow? You ask the great banker. Well, I don't know about that. I can't guarantee that you'll get more tomorrow, but you know this. You get $86,000 today, and anything left in the positive balance, I'm going to take away. Could I move it to another account? Of course you can move it to another account. So I can just slide it over here. You can just slide it over there. I don't care what you do with it. But whatever's left, I'm going to come and I'm going to take away from you. And then he says, what will you do with that money? You see, you get $86,000 every single day. In the form of 86,400 seconds in a day. They're given to you as a gift to spend however you want. You see, it's the one thing that winners and losers have in common. It's time. 60 seconds to a minute, 60 minutes to an hour, 24 hours in a day, and 168 hours in a week. What are you doing with the 86,400 seconds that you're given every day? Because it is in that choice, in those decisions that determine your destiny. So it's not that we don't have enough time. It's what are we doing with the time that we've been given? The banker challenged us. The great banker challenges us. I'm giving you $86,000. What are you going to do with it? Because at the end of the day, at 11:59:59, whatever of those 86,400 seconds you haven't used wisely, you haven't invested in yourself, your kids, your community, your business, your dreams, your goals, whatever you haven't invested properly is gone forever. So the second principle that I want you to take in is that it is a perishable commodity. As soon as you begin to realize that time is a perishable commodity, you don't F around with it anymore. All of a sudden, meetings become a little bit more focused. All of a sudden, Sunday afternoons start to have some purpose. Now, I'm not saying you should work your ass off 168 hours in a week. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying you need to be intentional in how you use this perishable commodity. And then finally, there are some basic laws, some universal principles that dictate the utilization of time and how to maximize time. You know, Ian, you keep on talking about maximizing utilization of your time. What exactly are you talking? Why don't you just say time management? Because, just like I use with the analogy of the great banker, I don't want to just manage my money. I want to invest $1 and get 10. I want to invest 100 and get 1,000. The same is true for time. I want to invest an hour and get 10 hours. I mean, you know of people, situations, and circumstances that you put in an hour and it costs you 10 hours. They're time suckers. Well, in the same sense, there's certain things that when I do them, I put in an hour and it gives me 10. So that's why I use the term maximizing the utilization of this perishable commodity called time. You want to be able to be the great dad. You want to be able to be the great business leader. You want to be able to be the great volunteer in the community and still have time to go to Bora Bora to enjoy the fruits of your labor. Then you better have some tools to maximize the utilization of your time. So there are some basic principles, universal principles from the beginning of time that when you use them, you'll be able to unlock these keys. With these keys, you'll be able to unlock these dreams and goals and hopes that you have, even though you feel like you don't have enough time. I got to talk to you about a guy named Pareto. Pareto was a mathematician at the turn of the century in Italy. Pareto. And he was asked by the Italian government, they said, hey, Pareto, we want to know where all the money is. Where's all the money in Italy? Kind of like today, who's got all the money? And much like today, when Pareto did the research to find out where all the money was, you know what he came to find? That 20% of the Italians held 80% of the wealth. Sounds very familiar to today, doesn't it? He found that 80% of the Italians' wealth was held by 20% of the Italians. And he thought to himself, that's crazy. Now, you know this rule, you know this law, the 80-20 rule, but you don't know its essence. You just heard the 80-20 rule. Did you know what Pareto did then? Pareto said, I wonder if that's true in anywhere else in life. And he's looked at the water of Europe. You know what he came to find? That 80% of the water of Europe came from 20% of the rivers. And then he looked at crime. Did you know that he found that 80% or so of the crime was committed by about 20% of the criminals? It's like healthcare in the United States. About 80% of the cost comes from about 20% of the patients. And then he said this, the law of the vital few. You see, that the 80-20 rule is actually called the law of the vital few. That there are vital few things that we do that give us the greatest impact. The law of the vital few. 80% of the activity comes from, 80% of the results come from 20% of the activity. What does that mean? That means that there's probably some certain things that I should be doing in my life that if I do them, I'll get the greatest results. And if I could proactively identify what they were, I'd be highly successful. So that basic law, the 80-20 rule, the law of the vital few, that there's a vital few things that if I do them, no matter what the endeavor, I'll be successful. Take that and set it right over here for just a second. Now I got to tell you about another mathematician. His name was Archimedes. Now Archimedes was Greek. Archimedes was in the time of Socrates and Aristotle. Archimedes. And Archimedes came and talked to me one day. Ian, you're freaking out of your mind. I am. But it's true, Archimedes came and talked to me one day. You see, I had just gotten a big job in a hotel casino. I started there as a busboy. And 3.5 years later, I was the director of hotel operations and had 1,100 employees. I wasn't educated for the task. I wasn't schooled in the task. I had no experience in the task. I was overwhelmed. All my employees knew I was overwhelmed. I knew I was overwhelmed. They knew that I knew that I was overwhelmed. I knew that they knew that I was overwhelmed. Everybody knew that I was overwhelmed and I couldn't do the job. Not enough time. Not enough energy, not enough effort. And I went home crying. 27-year-old executive in the casino industry, well beyond my years, well beyond my talent, well beyond my knowledge. And I've always been a guy that turned to quotes. I always looked to quotes. And I found a quote, and it was from this guy, Archimedes. And Archimedes said this, "Give me a place to stand and I will move the world." I read that quote and I thought, the human potential, the human capacity. What he's talking about is that a human can overcome anything. And so I wanted to learn more about this guy, Archimedes. So I went to the library. I'll tell you how long ago it was. I went to the library and I found the Encyclopedia Britannica. For some of you that are a little bit younger than me, that's a big book that you got in the library and look up everything. And I found this guy, Archimedes, and I found that he was an inventor. He invented the compound pulley. He invented the fulcrum and lever. You know, that stick. And you put it over the little rock. And you put it under the big rock. And you lean on it. And it helps you move something you couldn't possibly move. That compound pulley, that allows you to do the work of 10 men. Did you know that when Archimedes first tested that compound pulley in his little fishing village in Greece, they thought he was a god because he pulled in a boat to shore from the bay that it took 10 men to pull in the day before. Ian, what the hell does this have to do with time? Follow me. When I read about Archimedes, the inventor, when I read about Archimedes, the philosopher and mathematician, the father of geometry, Archimedes spoke to me. And it's been the key to success of so much that I've done in my life. You know, we've done 8 things that have never been done before. What Archimedes said to me is, you feel overwhelmed, kid. You feel like you don't have enough talent and time and energy and effort. But you don't need to be the smartest guy in the room. You don't need to be the most talented guy in the room. You don't have to even be the sharpest pencil in the box or the brightest bulb in the chandelier. You just need to have the right system. He said, look at my compound pulley. It's just a system of gears and ropes. Look at that. He said, just look at my fulcrum and lever. It's just a stick in a rock. But it's a system. You see, a system is a deeply integrated set of parts that are integrated to accomplish a specific task. They're telling me what time it is. Right? Jenna's over here on the side trying to tell me what time it is. So she's writing it on a piece of paper. I just told her to show me your hands, show me numbers. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do it my own way. Right? I'm not going to do it your way, Ian. I'm going to do it my own way. That's the beauty of people, right? Isn't it the beauty of people? Anyways, here's my point. My point is that Archimedes is saying, look, it's a system. And what's a system? A system is just a deeply integrated set of parts that I organize and integrate to accomplish a specific task. Systems are force multipliers. Systems allow us to do more with less. The compound pulley allows me to move something I could never move on my own. The fulcrum and lever allows me to do something I could never do on my own. The bicycle, the human mechanical interface, allows me to do more than I could do on my own. Where are you going with this? The key to maximizing utilization of your time is your system. The deeply integrated set of parts that you've organized and integrated to accomplish the task of managing and maximizing utilization of this perishable commodity called time, the 168 hours that you have in your week. And taking Pareto's law, the law of the vital few, and taking it into consideration, then we know that I got to have a system so that I can force multiply my energies and efforts. I got to pick out those 20% activities that get me 80% of the return. And if I can do that on a consistent basis, then I'll fulfill my dreams and goals and the obligations and responsibilities that I have in my life. Depression will go away, anxiety will go away, or at least mitigate the risk of the two. And I'll live a happier life. Those two principles by those two mathematicians are the bedrock of the philosophy that I'm going to share with you now over the next 40 minutes. If you have questions, Jenna's in the chat box. She's going to yell them out to me. She's not going to write them on paper because then I got to look down and read it. She's going to yell them out. She's smiling right now. I mean, she's pissed off. That's all right. That's okay.
There's no chat box.
All right. So if you have questions, put them in the chat. If there's no chat, you can email. I mean, we're doing this a little hokey because we didn't plan on doing it this way. But we wanted to get it out because we knew people wanted to get the information or at least record it and we can send it to everybody that signed up. If I'm going to maximize the utilization of my time, if I'm going to take the 168 hours that I have in my week and make the most of them, I take into consideration those basic, fundamental, universal truths. The 80-20 rule, the law of the vital few, is a universal truth. Archimedes' systems philosophy, fulcrum and lever, compound pulley, Archimedes screw, and the like, universal truth. They are force multipliers. So taking those two things into consideration, I need a system. Now, some of you, the system that you use is a to-do list. I have a to-do list. It's how I get things done, Ian. I got a to-do. Others of you, I got a calendar. I got a calendar, Ian. I got a calendar to help me get things done. I want to be clear. I'm not talking about organizing yourself. That's not what this conversation is about. There are plenty of ways for you to organize yourself. What I'm talking about is how to take the 168 hours you have in your week and make it feel like 300 hours. How to take the next 15 minutes and return your investment of that 15 minutes in the form of 45 minutes of gain or return. So now we're going to switch from philosophical to very practical. So if you don't have a piece of paper out, now get your piece of paper out and I want you to take notes. And that's everybody here. We've got Phoebe here, and we've got Sophie here, and we've got Jenna here, and we've got everybody here all participating. So I'm asking all of them to take and get out notes as well, and get out the notepad or their phone and take some notes. So step number 1, we make a list of all of the roles. We make a list of all of the roles that we play in our lives. All of the roles that we play in our lives. Now, the reason that we make a list of all of the roles that we play in our lives, because those are the pain points. You know, you've had this feeling, oh shit, I was supposed to call so-and-so. Oh, I gotta call my mom. Oh, I never talked to my brothers. Oh, I never fulfilled this obligation. Oh, I never fulfilled that responsibility. And the guilt and the guilt and the guilt, because there's nothing more burdensome than an uncompleted task. So the first step in maximizing utilization of your time and building a system to do so is make a list of all of the roles that you play in your life. For me, I'm a fiance now, right? I got a woman in my life that I'm attached to. So that's number one role that I play in my life. I'm a father. I'm a business owner. I'm a humanitarian. I got philanthropic endeavors. I'm trying to play Division I college football, right? I'm training to play college football. And on and on and on. So what are the roles? So you're probably a parent, potentially. You're somebody's kid. You're somebody's sibling. Maybe you have obligations at your place of faith. You got to do your job at work, or if you're a business owner, and there's some roles that you play within that. Maybe you volunteer at the Habitat for Humanity, or maybe you're at Girl Guides or minor hockey if you're up in Canada. List them. For most of us, there's between 12 and 15 roles that we play in our lives. Now, the reason for listing all of them is to see if it's realistic. You have all these roles that you play, but do you have enough time to actually do them? So step number 1, make a list of all of the roles. Step number 2, how many hours do you have to fulfill all those roles? Well, you said, Ian, there's 168 hours in a week. Yeah, but how many of them are usable hours? When I was helping run that big hotel casino, I just ran out of hours. I started going in on a 6th day of the week. Then I started going in on a 7th day. And there still wasn't enough time. At some point, you run out of time. So, have you got too many roles in your life? But let's just say you've got your 12 to 15, and you got 168 hours. But the 168 hours are not usable hours. 168 hours are not usable hours. You got to sleep. And even if you're one of those guys like me that only sleep 6 hours a night, that's still 42 hours of your 168. And then you got to take out a driving. You got to drive. And if you live in a big city, you're driving a lot. I'm sure you can listen to podcasts. You can make phone calls. You can do meetings. But it's not usable truly. You got to eat some point. Now, I know I've seen some of you try to eat, sleep, and drive all at the same time. I've driven next to you. But really, how many usable hours are there? About 100. So stop and think about this. On average, most adults, my age, your age, we've got about 12 to 15 roles that we play in our lives. And we got about 100 hours to do it. And we're leaving that to chance. We don't have a system. We're doing some kind of to-do list and a calendar. That's not a system. That's not going to maximize the utilization of your time. So step number 1, make the list of all the roles that you play. And you're going to find that some of those roles you don't need, because there's not enough time. So you have to say no. Secondly, you're going to set a goal in each one of those roles. What are the goals that you have in each role that you play? Well, how do I set a goal with my mom, my elderly mother? Well, maybe that goal is, what are you going to do when she can no longer care for herself? What are you going to do then? If you don't have a plan for that, that's going to take up a lot of your time when that crisis hits. What about your kids? Well, how do I set goals for my kids? Well, I don't know. What do you want your kids to be like when they're 18? You build the citizen of tomorrow. You, the parent. Or you're going to let somebody else build the citizen of tomorrow. You're going to let TikTok build the citizen of tomorrow, Snapchat, Instagram. You're going to let them build the citizen of tomorrow, or you're going to build the citizen of tomorrow. So what are your goals with your kids? I just want them to get good grades and not get drunk and not get laid and have a baby. Well, I think we can probably do better than that. What are your goals in the role that you play in your business? So in each one of the roles that we play, we set a goal. Because that goal acts as a lighthouse that we can navigate off of. So imagine, I made a list of all the roles that I play. Keep me on time, okay, Jenna? Mm-hmm. I made a list of all of the roles that I play in my life. I make a list of all of the goals that I have in each one. So each role has a goal, or more than one, but each role has a goal, and that acts as a lighthouse. And this is where Pareto's law comes into play. What's the number one activity that I could do in that role to get me closer to that goal? We're going to call them high impact activities. Now, you could also use the term high return on investment activities, but let's call them high impact activities. Based on what Pareto taught us, the law of the vital few, there are certain activities that will get me to that goal faster than other activities. There are certain activities that will get me to that goal faster. Wouldn't it make sense for me to identify them? Now, I'm gonna embarrass her because she's sitting here next to me. If I want to have a love story with my fiancee Jenna, if I want to have the greatest love the world has ever seen, which I do, and I believe that we can, then if that's my goal, in the role that I play as, fiance, husband, wife, whatever you want to call it, significant other, then what are the activities that I can do that will move me towards that goal of greatest love ever known? Okay, I'll give you an example. We can go to a movie, right? We can go to a movie. We're busy, we're both working, we got a lot going on, we got a lot of things happening from bringing together two busy lives. We go to a movie, but would that be the best activity? So I want you to think about your significant other. You got kids, you're on the go, you're running all around. If you only had 2 hours to spend with your significant other, what would be the best way to spend it? In the bedroom. That's the guys talking, in the bedroom. Maybe. I would really recommend, and I'd ask you to thoughtfully consider, what is that best activity that you could do for your significant other? With Jenna, I've come to find that we love to go and have a good meal. We love to go to a place that's new and interesting and unique. And we love to experience the food and the drink and the ambiance. It doesn't have to be fancy. It could be a hole in the wall. We love that adventure. We love that experience. We love talking about it before we get there. We love talking about it when it happens. And we love talking about it after. It becomes a vehicle for us to share and learn and grow and bond together. That's a high impact activity for us, especially when we can do it out of town, when we can go somewhere. So here's what I know about this love of my life. I know I better do that every once in a while. It can't just all be work. It can't just all be grind. So I've got to strategically make sure that we have those activities in our lives on a regular basis. And again, it doesn't have to be fancy. It doesn't have to be Chairman's in downtown Calgary. It could just be some hole-in-the-wall taco shop or whatever. Or frankly, it could just be a good meal at home. I think one of the best dinners we ever had was a meal that we made at home. My point is this. What is that for you and your significant other, that high-impact activity? Or I'll use the example of your kids. What's the what's the best activity you could have with your kids? Is the best activity that you could have with your kids going to the park? Is the best activity you could have to help your kids reach their full potential going to a ball game? Is it playing a board game in your house? If you only got 4 hours left in your week, or 1 hour left in your week, what's the best use of it? Are you talking about quality time? That's too simplistic. You see, it's deeper than that. I'm trying to make an emotional investment, an investment of trust in that significant other. So I'm trying to do all that I can to ensure that the bonds are created deep within that interpersonal relationship. And I'm doing it by proactively identifying the activity that gives me the greatest result with that individual. Now, you could do the same thing with employees. If I was a manager, what's the best way for me to connect with my employees? Is it to have a big meeting, or is it to meet one-on-one? Is it to send a text, or is it to have a face-to-face? So you can go through every one of the roles that you play, look at the goal that you have, and say to yourself, what's the number one activity? What's the high impact or high return on investment activity? If you're a salesperson, what's the high return on investment activity? Is it cold calling, or is it a warm lead? It's a warm lead. Well, then get more warm leads. There used to be a time when some of the major insurance companies in North America were my clients, and they would want me to work with all their people, and they would want me to help them grow their sales. And I would say to the insurance salesman or the financial advisor, here are the top activities that you can do to increase your revenues. Show me where they're at in your calendar next week. Well, they're not. Well, then how do you plan to increase your revenue? You see, once you've identified the high impact activities or high return on investment activities, then you just got to make sure they're in your calendar. The time and energy in maximizing utilization of your time, or building the system to maximize utilization of your time, isn't in organizing yourself every week. That's easy, which we'll talk about in a moment. What takes the time is identifying the roles that you play and deciding if they're still relevant and meaningful to you. And then determining the goals that you have, both near term and long term, in each one of those roles. And then taking a week or two or more to identify the activities that get you the greatest return. Side note, if there's activities that give you the greatest return, what can you surmise? There's activities that what? Don't. I will call them low return on investment activities. You see, once I've identified what the high return on investment activities are, it's really easy to identify the low return on investment activities. I do these, I avoid those. I do these, I avoid those. I do these, I avoid those. I take a step closer to my dreams and goals. Watch this. Every day you're given 86,400 seconds or $86,400 by the great banker. What are you going to do with it? You are not a product of your circumstances. You're a product of your choices. I could line the walls with individuals who have less than what you have and what I have. No arms, no legs, can't see, can't talk. No money, broken families, tragic drug use, alcohol, whatever. And as they rebounded out, they started to take the $86,000 they were given every day, and they started focusing it on the activities that got them to their goals and their dreams. What's beautiful about this system is it's available to every one of us. It is our decisions that determine our destiny. And the number one decision you can make is having a system to maximize the utilization of this perishable commodity called time. Time. And as Archimedes told me, as I was curled up in a ball crying because I was overwhelmed as a 26-year-old young man running a big hotel casino, or a big hotel within a casino, it didn't matter that I wasn't experienced. It didn't matter that I wasn't smart. It didn't matter that I didn't have the talent. All that mattered was the system I used. Find the right system, have success. All right, so now, where am I at time-wise?
You are 35 minutes.
Left?
No.
25 minutes left. Yeah, I gotta go backwards. So, the So in the next 25 minutes, what I'm going to do is break down the system, right? Remember, a system is just a deeply integrated combination of parts that we organize and integrate to accomplish a specific task. So what I'm going to give you now is the system to maximize the utilization of your time. Step number 1 was to make a list of all your roles. Step number 2, make a list of all the roles that make a list of all the roles that you play. Make a list of the goals within each one of those roles. Make a list of your high leverage activities. Now you have those, you set them right here. Every Sunday night or early Monday morning, we're going to project our week using a technique called time blocking. Now, most of you are familiar with time blocking. I take and I block out a certain amount of time to do a task, a meeting, an activity, an appointment, whatever. But what you might not have thought about is making appointments with yourself. You see, rarely we blow off appointments with other people. That's very, very rare. We rarely blow off appointments with other people. But we regularly blow off things that we say we're going to do. Today I'm going to work on the budget. And then crisis happens and I don't work on the budget. Today I'm going to go to the store and get this thing. Then crisis happens and I don't get this thing. Today I'm going to call my uncle because he's sick. And I loved my uncle when I was a kid. And then you don't and you feel guilty. So, time blocking is about setting aside certain amounts of time to do certain tasks that will move you closer to the goals that you have in each one of the roles that you play. So when you sit down on Sunday night or early Monday morning to project your week, I look at full 7 days. I don't look at a day at a time. I think that if you do a to-do list for the day and look at just one singular day, you're going to end up most of your days feeling defeated. Oh, I didn't get it done. Oh, it didn't happen. And you're going to literally come to the end of your day feeling like you lost, not like you won. So I always look at it 7 days at a time. What do I need to get accomplished in this 7 days? What do I need what do I need to put to bed in these 7 days rather than 1 day? And what is my to-do list for the 7 days? Because 7 days gives me a fighting chance to actually get that list done. I don't want to end every day feeling like a failure. I want to end every day feeling like a winner. As many of you know, I had a successful company in Canada, a successful company in the United States, and a worldwide charity. And at the age of 50, I still wanted to take my own life. I wanted to kill myself. Why? Because every day I was feeling like I was losing, not winning. Because I was overwhelmed with all the responsibilities and obligations that I had. And that's when I shifted and said, you know what? I got to stop looking at it a day at a time. It's a bad construct. It's a failed model. So I look at it 7 days at a time. And when I build my calendar, I don't just build it for work. I build it for life because of all the roles that I play in my life. So all of the roles that I play in my life are going to be reflected in that week. So on late Sunday night, early Monday morning, I'm going to sit down. I'm going to have my roles. I'm going to have my goals. I'm going to have the high impact activities. And I'm going to start to map out my week. Now, the first thing I put in my calendar. Now, calendar could be your phone. Calendar could be old school, right? Paper and pen. I don't care, but make sure it can have a week's view. You're going to lay out first the things that you know for sure, the standing stuff. I got this meeting on Tuesdays. I got that thing on Wednesdays. We got minor hockey on Thursday nights. We got Girl Guides on Sunday mornings. We got church on this day and whatever. You put the big rocks in. The things that you absolutely know happen every week, put them in. Then you're going to put in your high impact activities. The reason you're going to put in your high impact activities is they're usually the things that get in there last. So in other words, you're going to make an appointment with yourself. Tuesday night, I'm going to make Jenna dinner. We're going to have chicken parm. We're going to have a little bit of mussels. We're going to have a Caesar salad. We're going to do a flambe, whatever. I always say that. I've never made her that. I always say I'm going to make her that, but I never have. So, this thing isn't going to last very long because obviously I don't do what I say I'm going to do. But anyways, so anyhow. So I put that in the calendar. I make an appointment with myself because that's a high impact activity in the most important relationship in my life, the woman that I love. But it might be the kids as well, right? I'm going to make an appointment with the kids. You're actually going to make an appointment with the kids? No, I'm not going to make an appointment with them, but I am going to make an appointment with myself. On this day at this time, the kids and I are going to go and walk by the Bow River here in Calgary, whatever. So I make those appointments with myself. I plug in the high impact activities. If you're a salesperson and the high impact activity is customer interaction, then put it in your calendar. If you have a responsibility to build a budget and it's due 90 days from today, then you reverse engineer that and say 90 days from today, how many hours a week am I going to have to put in so that 90 days for the day I got the budget done? Maybe it's just an hour a week. Okay, where's that hour going to go? Tuesday mornings, Friday afternoons, whatever? Where is it going to plug in? So the first thing I put in there are the things that I know happen no matter what. The second thing I put in is the high impact activities. The third thing I put in is the stuff that needs to happen this week. Do I have some deadlines this week? Yeah, there's some stuff due on Friday. Well, what days am I going to do it then? Am I going to do it on Thursday? Am I going to do it on Tuesday? Am I going to do it on, when am I going to do it? I make that appointment. So whether I'm making an appointment with another human being or another group, or I'm making an appointment with myself, they get in the calendar. Principle of white space. Don't overschedule yourself. Leave some white space between those meetings. So you can eat, so you can hydrate. Everything, the solution to everything in life is hydration, right? Isn't that funny? Hey, my schedule's bad. Better drink more water. Whatever, just drink more water. My point is this, you want to leave some white space. Don't back to back to back to back to back to back to back, because something's going to go wrong. Leave some white space. And then finally, I want you to pull up over your week at about 500 feet. What do you know just kind of always happens? I used to do this thing where I did a staff meeting every Monday morning. This staff meeting every Monday morning because I thought, well, we'll set everybody up for the good week. But you know what would invariably happen? Whenever the boss, I was the big boss, whenever the big boss walked in on a Monday morning, everybody wanted my time. Everybody had a crisis, a problem, an issue, a challenge. Routinely, I was canceling that staff meeting. So you know what I started doing? I just started blocking out from 7:30 to 9:30. I just block it out. And do what? Just be available. I was literally just available from 7:30 to 9:30. I just sit in my office and wait for the problems to come because I knew that they were going to come. Well, what did you do when there was no problems? I actually got that time back. You see, by pulling up over your week and kind of feeling the flow of the week, we start to say to ourselves, there's some things that I almost guarantee are going to happen. Block those out. So now I built in the things that I know I'm going to happen. Then I built in my high impact activities in every role that I play, not just my business or my work roles, in every role that I play. And then I block in the things that I can assume, those weekly meetings, or that the stuff that needs to be done that week. And then finally, I block in the things that are just the flow of my life. Finally, on this time blocking, self-care. Where have you built into your schedule time to care for you? You see, I would suggest to you when building a self-care plan that you can utilize these same principles. What is the high impact activity? Self-care for you. For me, it's the gym. I got to be in the gym 1 or twice a day. If I go a day or two without being in the gym, I'm a mess. Well, you're doing that because you're training to play college football down in the States. No, that's not true. I'm doing it for my mental health. You know, the second high impact activity, meditation. I need to get up in the morning. I need to meditate. I need to center myself. I need to have a conversation with my maker. I need to do that every day. I go a couple of days without doing that, I'm a mess. Those are 2 high impact activities for my self-care. So I want you to think of your self-care like a battery. If your phone battery got down to 2%, what would you be doing? On a busy work day where your family needs to get a hold of you. You'd be freaking running to a plug as quick as you could. Whether it's your car, in your workplace, anywhere, you'd be finding a plug and plugging it in. Well, you're no different. We let our personal batteries get down to 0%. So your self-care plan mirrors the way you maximize the utilization of your time. What is that activity you could do every day to take your battery from 0 to 30 or 0 to 40? I'll call it the quick recharge. What's the activity you could do? Make sure it's in your calendar. Maybe it's walking the block. Maybe it's hanging with the dogs. Maybe it's sitting down and vegging and watching Friends over and over again. I don't know what it is. I don't care what it is. What gives you the rapid recharge? I'll call it rapid recharge for the day. Okay. Then what's that activity that if you did it once a week, is it a massage? Is it going out in nature? Is it playing some racquetball or pickleball? If you're my age, a lot of guys my age, I'm playing college football and other guys are playing pickleball. No offense to the pickleball players, it's a hell of a game. What is that thing that if you did it once a week, you would go from that 30% up to 80, right? So you have the daily rapid recharge, and then you have the weekly where it gets you up to 80%. Make sure that's in the calendar. And then what's that thing you could do once a month or once a quarter to get you up to 100%? Look, depression, anxiety, challenges and difficulties in these unprecedented times is real. It's real, man. I didn't think it was real till I crashed and burned. And you know the main reason I crashed and burned? Because I didn't have a self-care plan. I didn't have a plan to take care of my emotional, my mental, my physical, and my spiritual well-being. I just ran myself into the ground. Yeah, we were doing great things and we were getting a whole bunch of fancy awards. We were getting freaking keys to the city. We were getting national recognition from prime ministers and presidents. But you know what? And then I walked downstairs on my 50th birthday and told everybody I was going to kill myself because I had no self-care plan. So what's the thing that on a daily basis will give you a rapid recharge? What's the thing on a weekly basis that'll take you from 30 to 80 in your battery? And then what's the thing you do once a month or once a quarter, get you up to 100? Is it going down to Vegas? Is that what it is? You go to Vegas, let off some steam? Is it going to a seaside little sleepy town in California? Is it going somewhere in northern Alberta, out in the bush? I don't know what it is for you, what it is for you, no matter where you live. And it doesn't have to be expensive either. Maybe it's a camping trip. Maybe it's spending time with loved ones. Maybe it's time with your dogs. You block it into your calendar, and it's a non-negotiable. Out of all the appointments you make, this is the non-negotiable. Hey, honey, I go to the gym. And I got to go to the gym. Or, hey, I meditate. No matter what, I meditate. I got to do that no matter what. Whatever it is for you, it's a non-negotiable. And you tell everybody in your life that it's a non-negotiable. Okay, so now what do you have? You got a plan for your week. And watch. Your plan for your week is in deep alignment with the goals that you've set for your life. You're not leaving it to chance. That 168 hours, that perishable commodity called time, you have aligned it with your near and long-term goals. You've taken all the roles that you play in your life. You've taken the goal and set goals in each one. You've identified the high-impact activities. You're avoiding the low-impact activities, and you've put it into a system of a 7-day view. Now, once you have that 7 days laid out, then I do a thing I call project and reflect. So every morning when I get up in my meditation time, I project the day. What meetings do I have? What appointments do I have? And I actually visualize that meeting, visualize that appointment. What's my desired outcome from this meeting? What's my desired outcome from this interaction? What's my desired outcome from this Zoom call? What's my desired outcome from each of the things that I have laid out in my day? That increases the likelihood of those things coming to fruition. I might even role play in my own mind how that conversation goes. In doing so, I'm prepared. So I walk through my day, I project my day. Now I come to the end of my day, and what do? At the end of my day, I do a quick reflection. 1, did my day go the way I planned? 2, were there some crises that came up that made it so I had to skip a meeting, or I had to move a meeting, or I had to set aside a task or whatever? Then what am I able to do? I'm able to move that somewhere else. Jenna's gotten really good at this time thing. She's putting the card up there. She's doing really good at it. Yay, Jenna! Woo! She hates when I do that. Anyways, I project and reflect. If I come to the end of my day and things didn't go as planned, then what do? I look at my calendar and I move it to another day. I look at my calendar and I move that task, that meeting, that appointment with myself to another day. Crises are going to happen, no matter, even if we put white space in, crises are going to happen. But the beauty of this model is I just pick it up. You might lose whole freaking weeks. When I hurt my shoulder, I was trying to play college football. Most of you know, playing college football at Antelope Valley College. I blew out my shoulder, got a neck impingement. I'm still moving like Frankenstein, right? Still moving like Frankenstein. I lost weeks. I lost weeks. But that's okay, because I can pick right back up where I left off. I want you to write this down. More days than not. I think perfection is ridiculous. It's not going to happen. We can strive for perfection. We'll hit excellence, and that's good. For me, I'm just trying to be great more days than not. More days than not, I'm trying to be a good man to my fiance. More days than not, I'm trying to be a good leader of the National Grassroots Broadcasting Network, NGBN TV. More days than not, I'm trying to make progress to break this world record and bring hope to men who are struggling and hurting and depressed and broken. More days than not, I'm trying to be a good man. If I can hit more days than not, I'm going to be there. If I can hit 5 out of 7, even 4 out of 7, I'm making progress. So that's the evaluation standard that I use, more days than not. So I project my day, I reflect on my day. I project my day, I reflect on my day. I make adjustments accordingly. Then at the end of the week, that late Sunday night, early Monday morning, I do it all over again. And that's the system. Remember, Archimedes taught us, it's not about being smart. It's about having the right system. I make a list of my roles that I play in my life. I take all of those roles and I have a corresponding goal, or more than one. Then I identify the activities that will get me from the role to the goal quicker, with greater impact. Then I use the system of time blocking to make sure that those high impact activities get in my schedule for all the roles that I play in my life, not just work. Not just work. I might have to trim some of those roles because maybe I've overscheduled myself and I've said yes to too many people, organizations, and tasks. There's only 100 usable hours in a week, and you got 15 roles you got to fulfill in 100 usable hours. Then, at the beginning of each week, I project my 7 days in some kind of tool that I can take with me, right? Whether that's a phone or a daytime or old school, whatever. And then I project and reflect each and every day. Because I've laid out, I've time blocked, first, the things I know are going to happen, those standing things that always happen every week. Then the high impact activities. Then after the high impact activities, what do I plug in? I plug in the tasks and duties for that week. And then finally, the things that I just know that flow into my week. The things that I just know always happen, even though they're not a spoken thing, they just always happen. We got to take the dogs out and pee and poop. It's what we got to do. Did we set aside time to do that? Right? We know it's going to happen. So we might as well just set aside time. It's going to happen. And it's not just a 5-minute deal, because we live in a thing and we got to go downstairs and we got to walk around the block 5 times and all that. That's the way it works when you live in a big city. Well, that takes time. And I only have 100 usable hours in my week. Time is a perishable commodity. It is a construct of man. We have control of it. It doesn't have to control you. But Pareto was right. We must take into consideration the law of the vital few. And Archimedes was right. The only way to be successful in this life is to have the right system. The fulcrum lever, the compound pulley. Well, we've come to the end of our time. Obviously, I couldn't have a comprehensive conversation. It was kind of goofy the way we did this. We had hoped to do it on LinkedIn, and and be a StreamYard, and we have graphics, and we have imagery, and we'd have all that stuff. But we didn't do it like that. We did it on my phone via YouTube Live. And I want to thank Jenna for her help today, and of course the support of our other backup, our interns. We got interns here today. It's really cool. Excited to announce that we have interns with the Changing Point. We got first Sophie, and we've got Phoebe. Our two interns are here, and they're doing an amazing job, and they're being very attentive, and I appreciate them. And I know that they got a successful future in their dreams and goals. Hey, you may not like my system, my maximizing utilization of your time. Fine. Because you know what you could do, honestly? You go to the University of Google right now. You ever been to the University of Google? I go to the University of Google all the time. You go to the University of Google and you just type in this, systems for better time management, or how to maximize the use of time, or best practices in time management. You can type in any of those things in, you get 495,000 responses in 1.29 seconds. And if you live on some small town and you're ExploreNet or whatever, you'll get it in 2.3 seconds. But get a system. Your significant other is counting on you to give some of your time to them. Your kids are counting on you to give some of your time to them. Your elderly parent is counting on you to give some of your time to them. For your own mental health and your own well-being, have a system to manage this thing called time. So it doesn't have to be mine. Just get one. And then go and use the time that you have to leave this world better than you found it. Appreciate you tuning in. We're going to start doing this every 2 weeks. Offering these free 1 hour workshop, these lunch and learns. So hopefully we'll get the LinkedIn thing figured out, and we'll be back then doing it on LinkedIn. If you appreciated what we do, shoot me a note. I can't put it on the screen because we don't have that bell and whistle, but it's just Ian@thechangingpoint.life. All one word, thechangingpoint.life. If you want to learn more about what we're doing with the football, it's seasontosavealife.org, seasontosavealife.org. And if you want to learn more about the television network that we're launching, ngbn.tv. With that, we've come to the end of our time. Have a great rest of your week, and we'll talk to you soon. Be well, everybody. You guys are all going to watch me turn it off. How about that? That'll be good.